Tropical cyclones don't just happen. Long before they reach land, it all starts out here in the ocean. But conditions have to be just right, like the ocean temperature has to be at least 26.5 degrees. That's so that the sea is warm enough to provide enough water vapour, which is going to power the system. Cyclones are typically hundreds of kilometres across. Here, we're going to shrink the scale, but make sure we keep all of the forces the same. Those forces are like a giant atmospheric engine fueled by the moisture from the warm surface temperatures of the tropical oceans. Then all you need is a low pressure system to create a swirl, and you can see that moisture getting sucked high into the atmosphere. Let's kick this thing off. The rising moisture cools as it goes up, condensing to form clouds. You can see it's starting to rain. As it goes up, it helps to drop that central pressure, and that sucks in more air and more moisture. The system's growing and the winds are picking up as well. This thing is just about ready to get a name. Now we get to one of the most remarkable phenomena of the system. At this point, the cyclone is essentially a solid cylinder of cloud. The warm, humid air is continuing to be pumped into the bottom of the cyclone that rises through that cylinder. Most of it is dispersed out the top, but not all of it. Some of that air is starting to drop back down through the middle of the cylinder, and look what's happening. That air is evaporating the cloud, creating a well through the centre. And there you are. The cylinder is now hollow, and we've got that cyclone shape that everyone recognises. And in the middle, the eye of the storm has formed. And here we are in the eye of the cyclone. It's calm here because the winds on opposite sides of the eye go in opposite directions. And in the middle, well, they cancel out.
Tropical Cyclone Omar is a Category 2 system as we go to air.
Evacuations are underway in far north Queensland as locals flee the path of monster cyclone Yasi.
Back outside the cyclone, it's the ferocity of the winds that helps us determine its strength and to warn people of the dangers they face. For the lowest level cyclone, a Category 1, the winds have to reach 65 kilometres an hour. That's sustained winds, averaged over at least 10 minutes. With this sort of weather, you can expect damage to trees, perhaps even cars, but houses are mostly fine. Category 2 tropical cyclones pack maximum average wind speeds of 90 to 120 kilometres an hour. These are destructive, and power failures are a real risk, as well as minor damage to homes. Category 3 tropical cyclones, they pack winds 120 to 160 kilometres an hour, and the gusts can get up to 200 kilometres an hour. These are severe tropical cyclones. Damage to buildings is noticeable and power failure likely because the infrastructure just can't hold up. Category 4 tropical cyclones have wind speeds up to 200 kilometres an hour with gusts approaching 280. It's incredibly dangerous with significant structural damage likely and large airborne debris that's extremely dangerous. Category 5 tropical cyclones have wind speeds over 200 kilometres an hour and gusts over 280. It's the highest emergency category, and there will be widespread destruction. These destructive winds, along with flooding rain and damaging storm surges, are all the hallmarks of tropical cyclones. But despite the environmental damage, the flora and fauna of our tropical regions have evolved to not only survive, but flourish in the months and years after a destructive impact. Indeed, many tropical areas rely on the life-bringing rainfall that these systems produce. Without it, much of northern Australia would be far more arid. Even if a cluster of thunderstorms never advances beyond tropical low strength, they can still have a tremendous impact on the mainland, pushing flooding rains hundreds, if not thousands, of kilometres inland. And despite their southern formation, tropical cyclones aren't a random weather pattern. They actually serve a life-sustaining purpose. They act as the pressure cooker of the global climate, releasing energy in the form of heat from the surface into the upper atmosphere, which then cools as it mixes with air on its way towards the poles, helping to moderate temperatures and weather across the globe.